Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Glen Ray, bring you news that you can use. This morning I'm going to start off a little different, but I'm going to say thank Jeffrey Williams for allowing me to come on each Sunday to bring you news that you can use. We appreciate you, Jeffrey. Thank the world of you. And also, today I'm going to be going over some things about my son and about the corruption in the police department. So I want to hold all calls to after 9 o'clock. I'm also videoing it, taping it, because I'm getting ready to go on the road with Jason Childs to tell the story about what's going on in the state of Alabama. You may not realize this, but out of 50 states, Alabama is the 6th most corrupt state out of 50 states. That's not something to be proud of. And we intend to change it with the election, trying to put a governor that wants to help the people. But I want to start off on saying that some of you probably done heard some of the things I'm going to say, but it's a reason, because I have to get it on video to make sure that everybody will be able to not only hear me, but also see me. Let's go back to May 1st of 2014. And I'm going to walk you through this. And you can be the jury. And you can say whether a person is innocent or guilty. You can make that call. But on May the 1st of 2014, my son was arrested by the N.A.A.C.P Police Department. And they said that they got 37 grams of contraband from him. Now, when my son said that, that's not true, I started to challenge the arrest. Subpoena the records, the arrest report, the videos. I subpoena the sign in, the sign out. All of these things I was subpoenaing to verify, to see exactly what happened. But let me just tell you how the story goes. May the 1st, 2014, Officer Murphy and others came and said a routine traffic stop. Walked to the car, smelled marijuana, took my son out, and said they got 37 grams of contraband off of him. When Officer Murphy was asked what happened to the alleged contraband, Officer Murphy said he gave it to FBI Martin that night. I want you to understand. I want to repeat that because this is very important. He said, I gave it to FBI Martin that night. Now, if he gave it to FBI Martin, let me just tell you, if you don't know, FBI is a field agent of the U.S. Attorney's Office. In other words, they investigate cases and turn it over to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So May the 1st, the case became a federal case for the U.S. Attorney's Office to pick up. The state had no jurisdiction. The N.A.A.C.P Police Department have no more jurisdiction. The case had went to the U.S. Attorney's Office from that information. Now, my son stayed in jail. He was arrested and booked in for trafficking. He stayed in jail 8 months. 5 of those months he sat in the county jail. They had a probation hearing on July the 1st of 2014. Officer Murphy stated that when they pulled one bag out his back pocket, another bag fell on the ground. During that probation hearing, Officer Murphy The question was asked, what did you do with the alleged drugs? And he said, I gave it to the FBI morning that night. And this is very important because he made that statement in the state court. Now, remember I said, once you turn anything over to the FBI, it becomes a federal. Officer Murphy was testifying in a state. His probation was revoked. Stayed in jail, like I said, for 8 months on a traffic violation, trafficking of the contraband. Now, when he was released, we filed a false imprisonment against the Anderson Police Department. And this is where everything began to unravel. When we filed that false report, that false imprisonment, now, remember that the district attorney had the case saying it was pending in the state court. The alleged drug that was sent to be tested came from the Anderson Police Department some weeks after the arrest. Now remember I said that he gave everything that night to the FBI Martin. So the alleged contraband that was sent to the Dallas, Texas to be tested came from the Anderson Police Department. That's highly impossible. That tells me that somebody have falsified and fraudulently sent some paperwork with Glen Ray Jr. name on it to Dallas, Texas. Now, what happened from that point, you is not going to believe this. The U.S. Attorney's Office came and said they was picking up the state case because the alleged contraband came back 37.5. Said that they had went and got an indictment from the grand jury. No way that they could have got an indictment from the grand jury. Let me tell you why. Officer Bearden was the only officer who said that he got anything off of my son. Officer Beard was terminated in August of 2014 for allegedly planting over drugs on over 100 people. Then they came back and said, well, it was a 100 illegal terrorist stop. Either way, all of this is documented. So you didn't have no one to take to a grand jury to put anything to say they got anything off of it. And you can't say you was picking up the state case because Officer Murphy testified he gave it to the FBI that night, which means it was in the federal. You already had the case. And this is what really hurts my heart. Because the U.S. Attorney's Office changed the trafficking to a possession with intent. Because they know that nobody filed in the charges within 48 hours. Nor 72 hours. Nor 8 months. Matter of fact, there was no charges ever filed in 2014 on the case. No charge was ever filed in 2014 on the case. How can you get an indictment when the officer said he gave it to the FBI that night? Where did you get the alleged contraband to send it down to Texas? And in order to get the weight that they needed, they watered it down. Because when the lady Miss Prince came from Dallas, Texas and testified She said what they sent me was wet, extremely wet. And the mixture of chemicals in each bag was different. So they sent 2 bags with different chemicals in each bag and extremely wet. A photo was shown on a scale that showed 37.5. That photo was a hard surface. The bag was perfect. You can see whatever was in it wasn't damaged. And this is where a man that weighed 250 pounds supposed to have been sitting on it, and it was in his back pocket. No way that they should have got an indictment, because the alleged contraband was never tested, because FBI Martin never testified and said what did he do with the alleged contraband that he supposed to got from Officer Murphy on May the 1st of 2014. And I'm saying all of this to let you know how the system operates, how one hand washes the other. How in the world is the U.S. Attorney's Office, stooped so low that they try to recycle garbage from the city level? We as people in this country does not stand a chance when we don't have fair people in high places that's going to do what's right. Did I tell you that George Vance, shortly after that, retired? Sheriff Emerson retired. Everybody on this case retired except Chief Denham and Brian McVeigh. Chief Denham knew that no drugs contraband was never logged in the police department in 2014. None was ever logged in and none was never logged out. There's a such thing as change of custody, which means that you have to track whatever you have as evidence. It has to have a tracking system, a change of custody. During the change of custody, FBI Martin never testified, and he's supposed to have handled everything. Nothing was in it, never logged in or logged out as evidence in the Anderson Police Department. The picture that they showed with no time stamp and no date was never logged in as evidence in the Anderson Police Department. If it was never logged in as evidence, then you should not be able to produce it at a trial. Now, how did it get in? Always do your homework. Do your research. George Vance and the judge, Abdul Kalams, came from the same law firm. So they had a special relationship. This jury should have never been able to hear any case pertaining George Vance, because they had a special relationship from a law firm that they both came from. And the hurting thing about it is, the President Obama appointed both of them. I sent my letter to the Inspector General's office. The Inspector General read the information, and he wrote me back and said, Mr. Ray, we have reviewed your concern. We have investigated. You alleging that someone from the U.S. Attorney's Office have committed or a miscarriage of justice and misconduct. So I am turning this letter over to the U.S. Attorney's Office for further review. From this point on, you do not have to contact me. This is the number that you call from the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I'm showing it and I'm putting it on camera. The Inspector General found them liable of wrongdoing, or he would never have passed it on to the U.S. Attorney's Office. But now, they have all the information. It's hard for someone to investigate themselves. This is why we have so much trouble in this country. Because we have wrong people in right places. There's nothing wrong with our judicial system. Our judicial system is the best in the world. What's wrong that we have corrupt people operating? And how are we going to straighten it out? I cannot straighten it out, but you can. We can. As citizens and voters in the state of Alabama, we can say, you may be corrupt, but I am not. When it comes election time this year, we need to make sure we put people in office that's going to do what's right towards the citizen. An officer's job is to protect and serve, not to shoot and kill, not to falsify a document, not to falsely prosecute a person. This is why we, as Alabamians, gonna have to do what we should have done a long time ago. Let's get together, Republican, Democrat, black, white, brown. We, the people of the state of Alabama, it's time for a change to come in this state. We can make it happen. Did I tell you? They said that the Democrats and the Republicans don't work together. They work very well when they try to railroad young black men, because there was Democrats prosecuting. There was Republicans turning it over an innocent person. They work very well on when they want to lynch our kids through a judicial system that's unfair. That was black and that was white, working together. The public defender's office should be charged with theft by deception. They got so much money off this case. A case that never should have went in the courtroom. A case that never produced any evidence, not one witness. And when they changed it to possession with intent, they did not call one witness that said, I got something off this young man. Instead, both of the witnesses said, I didn't get anything off of him, and I didn't see anybody else get anything off of it. Those were the two witnesses, and the only two witnesses that was put on the stand. So how did they get an indictment? The alleged concubine came from the N.A.A.C.P Police Department, so that's what was tested. Nothing was tested from the FBI Martin, who they said they gave it to him that very night. I'm telling you this because this is not just my son that they're doing it to. They are doing it to others because they were too comfortable on what they were doing. And they were very good. Can you imagine sitting in the courtroom knowing your son being lynched by unjust people, and you have to keep silent because it's not time to speak? There's a time to speak, and there's a time to listen. But I had to get everything documented before I came out to tell the story. What I'm telling you, everything I'm telling you is documented. I have it, all the paperwork. I have all the discovery. So I know that nothing was logged in or logged out in the N.A.A.C.P Police Department. I know that FBI Martin Didn't see anything to be tested because what was tested came from the Anderson Police Department. So what did that leave me? That leave me to tell you to if you hear from my son, tell him that your dad is on his way to pick you up. He on his way to free you through a system that always turns right. A system eventually will always do what's right if you stay there and keep pursuing it. Justice will always come out the system that we have because everybody in the system is not corrupt. Everybody in the system don't live in Anderson, Alabama. Everybody in the system not named Chief Denham. Every prosecutor is not named Brian McVeigh. There are good people out there. We just have to get it to them. It's already been proven that they are lied. And I have always said if President Obama appointed them, then they can't be all bad. Little did I know, but I know today that you can appoint a person and really don't know them. You can have the best policies in the world, but if people don't implement what you put down and say, this is what I want to do, then it's all it is something on paper. Did I tell you I got a letter from President Obama concern of my son? Yes, I got that letter. But the thing of it is, the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Justice Department is so big and large and so many departments that it's hard to get to the right people. But thank God that I did get to the Inspector General's office. And I'm here to tell you, let nobody fool you. The Inspector General's office in Washington, D.C. is one of the best offices that you can find. They do what's right. They don't have no axe to grind. If you're guilty of misconduct, they would tell you there's something wrong with this picture. You need to investigate it a little bit more. And to say you got an indictment and to say that you were picking up a state case tells me that someone wasn't communicating. And this is what happened when you put pressure on people. They were just doing things, running, but no one talking to each other because they all knew their role to play. I pass it to you, and this is what you do. And if I get caught, I got a friend in the U.S. Attorney's Office will come and bail us out. Did I tell you that they would kept on trying to get a plea deal? This is what they do, because once you plea deal, then you don't have nothing to fight. And I asked my son, would he just do this for me? And I had a reason to ask him to keep your mouth shut and let's just ride this storm out because the Lord will bring us out of it. I had a reason for that because these people went in my house, tore up my wife's obituary, and scattered all over the floor and wrote racial slurs on the wall at my food and then laugh in my face. And if they think they were going to get away with that, here I am, years later, like a bloodhound. I'm still sniffing and still barking and still on the right track. Somebody gonna pay. Somebody gonna pay for the wrongdoing. Somebody gonna pay for the time and the pain and the suffering that a man have stayed in a jail for no just cause. Not only you violating their civil rights, a constitutional right. A man have a right to confront his accuser, and his accuser never showed up. This is why mothers and fathers Talk to your son. Talk to your daughter. I know a young man that had just a blunt, which carried just a fine. Right now, this young man is sitting in jail, and his attorney said, either you sign this paper, you're going to do 6 months. If you sign this paper, you're going to do 30 days. And this is a fine, but the man is sitting in jail right now. This is what's going on in Anderson, Alabama. The most corrupt city in the state of Alabama. And that's my opinion. But we can change all of that. Did I tell you that Jason Oden played a major role on trying to cover up this? The same Jason Oden who died now, the prosecutor for the city. The same Jason Oden who trying to railroad a young lady now on a DUI. Did I tell you that I turned over all the transcript to Kent, the city manager, Kent Davis? He know everything I'm telling you. He already know it. Did he, after he read the transcript, did he come and say, Glenn, I am so sorry. I wasn't here, but I'm sorry for what happened to your son. No, he didn't say it. He took the transcript and kept his mouth shut. Because these people are afraid to do what's right. If you're afraid to do what's right, you shouldn't have the job that you're trying to perform in this city. A city manager should be neutral and make sure that all citizens are treated fairly. There's so much that we have to do. But I'm here to tell you, I am a fighter. And when I made a promise to them officers that I am going to make sure that all of you pay for your wrongdoing, that's a promise that I'm intending to keep. I'm intending to keep that promise because I have right on my side. I have the transcript coming from their own mouth, telling their own story. No one should have stayed in jail 8 months without a charge, and then you change the case, you change the charge from trafficking to possession. Shame on you, U.S. Attorney's Office. You should be at a higher standard. But I'm here to tell you, sometime that you had to knock down giants trying to get where you need to go. And I want them to know today that the Lord didn't give David the only stone to knock down giants. He gave it to others who wants to do what's right towards people. You carry a stone to knock down giants. But you can't be afraid and fear, because the Lord don't give you a spirit of fear. You have to do what's right. I am going to get my son, but I want to free other sons and daughters also. Because if these people been running these scams, they didn't just start running it on my son. They have been running it for a while. There needs to be an investigation. We have lost a lot of our soldiers, young black men in Vietnam and in Iraq, going to fight because they said that those dictators were treating their people wrong. They said that we need to go because the peoples over there are being treated unfairly. So we go and we lose our people fighting, trying to correct people in another country when we are just as corrupt in this country. The Lord said before you can get the splinter out someone else's eye, you have to get the log out your own eye. It's easy to look across the water and say you are wrong how you treating your people. But we have more people locked up in this country for minor offense. Who coming to save these people? But I want them to know today the Lord said, I'm coming. And I will send my disciples to make sure that they speak for me. You just open your mouth and I put the word in it. Going to take a short break now. And when I come back, I will be taking calls. And if you have been misused and abused by something in the judicial system, feel free to talk about it. Let's record it. Because when I take mine, I want to take yours. We'll take a short break now. We'll be right back in 5 minutes. Morning, this is Glen Ray, bringing you news that you can use. I'm cutting it a little short this morning because I have the next governor of Alabama on the line. With your help, we can be able to put some righteous people in right places. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing really good, and good morning to you and everyone listening. And thanks again for having me on the show. I was really hoping to be back in Oxford this morning. I was going to be in live with you, but unfortunately I got caught up down here outside of Birmingham in a garage. But I'm really excited to be on, and I'm really looking forward to talking about how much of a problem it is with there are so many police forces, different departments, all up separate, and no one is really holding any of them accountable. And we've just had too many instances where people have been done wrong, and the judicial system is not working for the people of Alabama.
And you're 100% right on that, Jason. And I was discussing some of that. And as long as we have wrong people in right places, we're going to continue to have what we have. And I also mentioned that out of 50 states, Alabama is listed number 6. It's the most corrupt state out of 50 states. That's a record that we are not proud of, and it's time for us to change. You cannot change it by keeping the same old status quo.
Well, and that's one of the things that we've really been talking about in this campaign. If you are on Facebook, and I know a lot of people in this area are on Facebook and keeping up with friends and family, go on there and just search Committee to Elect Jason Childs, Governor of Alabama. The reason I want you to do that is there's a video that we posted yesterday, and I just think everybody in the Anniston, Oxford, County area needs to see it. This video is of a young man. He's a veteran. He served our country, young 20s. He comes home to visit family. He's in Auburn. He gets in a little fender bender in Opelika. And they call the police, as you do, if you have a little fender bender. And as the police show up, he gets out of his car, and he has his wallet in his hand. And you watch this video. This Opelika police officer walks up and just opens fire. As soon as this police officer pulls up, he sees the young man getting out of his car, and he just takes his gun out and he shoots this young man, and the young man's laying on the ground blissing out. Now, instead of calling 911, instead of getting an ambulance there, getting on the radio and asking for help, they go over to him and they see that he doesn't have a gun. The shooter starts having a breakdown. He starts screaming, oh my goodness, he just had a wallet. And the other police officers are all gathered around the cop who did the shooting, patting him on the back, telling him, hey, don't beat yourself up. It's going to be all right. It could have happened to anybody. Meanwhile, this veteran, this young Alabama son, is laying on the ground bleeding out. 5 minutes goes by before they even call for ambulance. This case was reviewed by the Opelika Police Department. Of course, all of them's the best of friends. And it was found that there was no wrongdoing. This officer wasn't even written up for what happened. He should have been fired. He should have been arrested. Should have been prosecuted. And I want you to see this video. You got to watch it. Go to Facebook and look up Committee to Elect Jason Childs, Governor of Alabama. Look at that video. You watch that and you tell me if we don't need change, Glenn.
Well, Jason, I watched the video, and my thing is this, Jason. They have went away from what the officers, the police officer, job is to protect and serve. If your mindset and if you're being properly trained to protect the citizen, you get out a vehicle, you shouldn't have on your mind that this man got a gun. only way you're going to get out shooting like that, this officer is in the wrong line of work. Mm-hmm. And so everybody's not just put out or made to just be a police officer.
Right.
This is, you know, and you know, we have some officers that's on our team that looking forward on trying to see what can we do to make it better, to bring back honesty and confidence for the citizen to have trust in the officer once again. And so I'm looking forward on working with you, and I am looking forward on with the officers that trying to make a difference in this state. I hear people say that all officers not bad, but the thing of it is, silent is consent. If you don't speak out against it, then undoubtedly you must be for it. And
I agree with that. You know what? One of the things people, when they see a video like this, and I hope a lot of people will go and watch it, is the first question that people ask is, what can we do? You know, people say it on the all the time, Jason, if you're elected governor, what are you going to do to change things? And we do have a plan. I want to tell everybody a little bit about it. Everybody across the state, people are talking about this. We've talked to police chiefs. They're excited about it. We've talked to sheriff deputies that are interested in it. We are going to unroll a plan called the Statewide Police Oversight Commission, SPOC, SPOC in short. And what SPOC is going to do, this Statewide Police Oversight Commission, it's going to be a statewide internal affairs division. Now, see, the problem is money. That's really a lot of times what it all comes down to. These little departments, like Opelika Police Department, Rainbow City Police Department, you know, Montford Police Department, they don't have the resources, they don't have the money, the necessary means to fund a separate internal affairs division. Now, we know from large cities, and I've spoken with people who've been with Chicago PD and the New York City Police Department, these large departments, they have a separate division. People who don't work with the officers, they have their own office, their own building, their own chain of command. And these internal affairs divisions are objective. You know, if you're working in a squad room with about 7 or 8 other people and you're all best friends, you can't really investigate each other. We wouldn't ask somebody to do that. It's not fair. Nobody wants to arrest their brother. You know, the tendency of people when they're on the team is to develop what's called esprit de corps. It's a natural occurrence that happens whenever people work together. Men and women in a room facing danger together every day, they create a bond, and that bond, though, as useful as it is, prevents them from objectively being able to investigate one another. And so somebody from another office has to do that. In large cities, they have that internal affairs division. And we know our departments, so many of them small, a county sheriff's office that's just getting by, they don't have the necessary means to form a separate department and run a completely separate division. That's where we're going to step in. And I want everybody listening to know, Glen Ray Sr. is going to be the one that's in charge of this. We have asked him, and he accepted. The Statewide Police Oversight Commission is going to be based in Montgomery. It will be a central office where anybody in the state who wants to make an accusation of police wrongdoing goes and makes that complaint there. Then the SPOC will be staffed with seasoned investigators. And these detectives will go out and investigate every case of police brutality, of police wrongdoing that's sent in. And there'll be a prosecutor assigned to that office who will prosecute these cases and represent victims of police violence in court.
And Jason, and you know, and like I said, so many on board with this, but you know, there's always going to be someone fighting it, because there are people out there that are benefiting off the static quote. Mm-hmm. And so if we intend to make sure that we are number 6 most corrupt state out of 50, you know, we're going to have to change the image of the state of Alabama. And Jason, and you plan on being here next Sunday?
Yes, sir. And
so we're gonna look forward and want you to come in next Sunday and tell everybody on just what the rest of what you're planning on doing, and I'm like I said, I'm right there with you, Jason, because sometimes you just can't just sit on the sideline and just talk about what we need if you're not going to be able to help make a change. And that's what happened. We have too many people on the sideline saying, pointing and saying these people are wrong about this is what we need, but nobody wants to get out there and be the target on saying that, hey, we're going to make a change and we can do this together.
That's right. That's right. You know, one of the things I want to tell too, and I think it's important for people to see this. When you see this video, when you watch somebody who's just been an offender bender and they get out of their car wanting to just change insurance information, and they're shot down by a police officer who just got out of his car and started shooting, you need to realize, and everybody listening, listen to this now, you need to realize that could have been your son. That could have been your daughter, your husband, your wife. It's important to realize that if none of us are safe and protected unless all of us are. And we have to see this as a moral crisis. We owe it to young people for them to know that they are safe. And that it's bad enough with some of the gang problems we have in larger cities where you're afraid you're going to be shot down. We can't have it so that when people get in an accident, they're afraid to call the police because if the police show up, they're going to shoot them. We just can't tolerate that. It's not a way that we can live. And I'm excited about the statewide police oversight commission. The only people who are against it are, like you said, people who are benefiting from the status quo. A lot of these county, it's horrible to say, but a lot of these county courts are keeping themselves afloat by running people through the system, getting them paying fines, getting them paying on payments, putting them out on probation, collecting money from them. It has become a money-making scheme in many parts of the state. That's why we're ranked 6th as far as being corrupt. We have to change it, and we can together. There's no doubt about it that the people of Alabama won't change. And I know that together we can make it happen.
Well, thank you, Jason, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you next Sunday.
Hey, thank you, Glenn. It's good to be with you again.
Thank you. And that was Jason Child. Hopefully he's going to be our next governor in the state of Alabama. If we get out and work hard, the Republicans and Democrats, Independents, we're all in this together. I'm hoping that people don't look at parties, they look at fairness first. If we are a Christian country, then we need to do a Christian thing. We have a Christian duty. Are we our brother's keeper? Yes, we are. So if you want to, feel free to call in. I'm taking calls right now. But I can tell you this. It's not going to be easy because it is hard to change the status quo. Because the people have had a toehold so long and they have put their peoples in place to protect them. And they've been there a long time. But we have to try. Because one or two people shouldn't be able to corrupt a whole state. It's up to us to make the difference. We can do it. I have a call coming in. Go ahead, caller. Good morning.
I wish somebody in Alabama would tell me how Chief Dennis could put in an ounce of stock. And he got 37.5 grams over that young man that you're talking about when it was never logged into the police department. If somebody took it that night, I had to get logged into the police department. And how can he get in and put in an article in an ounce of stock saying that he got 37 grams on that man? You can't do that. That's a conspiracy.
And you're 100% right. But when you've been doing wrong so long, you don't think about it. You just react. He should have never said that he got anything because it was up to the U.S. Attorney's Office on May the 1st to make any comments or statements. Because the FBI, like I said, is a field agent of the U.S. Attorney's Office. The Anderson Police on May the 1st, when the sun rose on May the 2nd, Anderson Police did not have a thing to do with the case, but Officer Murphy ran down to the Calhoun County Courthouse, got a arrest warrant on something that he didn't even have. And
We after that, after what you talking about, but I remember the article.
I still have the article, and so I'm here to tell you, people will do whatever you allow them to do.
He just told a lie. That's what that man said. He need to stop doing our kids like that, putting that in, publicizing their name and lying on our kids just because they're black and they call them thugs and all. I know what the other police department be doing, and they know what they be doing. So we need to stop it and try to do what Texas and the senators and use our taxpayers' money because we pay them. They don't pay us. All they do is charge us for something that we did, make run the stop sign. And stay up behind these stop signs, I see them all the time. People in the high running into these communities with them blue lights for charging black folks for something that they really ain't doing. That ain't worth even stopping nobody because they need to do this job. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, caller. And I can say this. Chief Denham was making $76,000. He got a 3% pay increase and a cost of living. And they raised his salary to $97,000, almost $100,000. I'm telling you, I was a manager for 38 years. 3% is not going to give you over that much money. You can't get that much money off a 3% increase. So if they gave him close to $100,000 on a 3% increase, you do the math. There's something wrong. What is Chief Denham doing in order to get close to $100,000 in this city? That's impossible. I have brought this concern to the city council, but where can you go if the city councilman is giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars to their friends with no tracking system and nobody signing and nobody know where the money is going? We have a lot to do in this city. Have another call coming in. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, Glen. Ralph Bradford. How you doing?
Just fine. How you doing, Ralph?
Listen, I enjoy your show every Sunday morning, and the information you be giving the community. That's why I support your show. But as you talk about fraud that is taking place in our judicial system, I just want to add on to what you're saying. My discussion in about 30 minutes on my show will be how the judicial system on our appellate state court system plays the same kind of tricks on citizens of this state, and a lot of times they're African American. You're correct when you say that our judicial system is corrupt, not only in the department and where you're talking about, even higher up in our judicial system, our civil appeal court, you know, and even our state Supreme Court. I'll say that, and I'm going to say it in a few minutes. So people need to realize that as African Americans in America, our rights are being challenged every day as African Americans in this country. It seems like we're the only race they do not want, for whatever reason, especially white people in Alabama, refuses to allow us to have access to equal and justice right here in this state. So we must fight it. We have to fight it. But I'm going to say this to you, and I said it to Ben, and I said to James Montgomery, and I said to David Reddick. Ain't no damn way we can win if the people don't get up off of their asses and help us. Thank you, Glenn Bradford says that.
Thank you. And I know sometimes it gets frustrated. And sometimes when you out on the battlefield, you get tired. I understand that. But you can't quit. You can't give up. If you got a granddaughter or a grandson, that should be enough to get you up and to keep you going. I am so glad that my mother and my father had us on the front porch every Saturday morning telling us, you are equal to anyone in this state or any other state. But I tell you, son, treat everybody fair. Black, white, do not dish the same thing that they're doing to you. Do not do it to them. They give you a lemon. Just add some sugar to it. And I'm here to tell you, I am so glad at 12 years old that I was out fighting injustice in this city. Even when I was 16 and 17, I would go march downtown of the city of Anderson saying, if you don't hide, we won't buy. I came up in a city that we had to go in the back door to be served. I came up in a city that when you go to a water fountain, there was two, one color and one white. I came up in a city that when you go to a restroom, there was a color and a white. I came up when you go to the store and you're buying things and your father is shopping and the salesman is there helping you look for what you want. And when you pick out what you want and you're getting ready to go and pay for it, and if he see a white customer come in, he would leave you and go to the white customer and serve them first. I came up through that system. But my grandson cannot relate to that because we didn't tell the story on how they are able to go in the front door. We didn't tell the story on how the Lord brought us out of the cotton field. We didn't tell them the story. And if you don't tell the story, it will soon die. You didn't get there for being so smart and so beautiful. You got there because somebody died. There are people that walk for justice. I know because I was one of them. Go ahead, caller.
Mr. Glen, I appreciate what you're doing, all of what you're doing, and I can understand where you're coming from about the black and white water fountains because I grew up in that day and age too. But the fact is, until we as a black people, however we want to call ourselves, get concerned about our grandchildren and about our children and about our community, and if we don't hurry up and get involved in our governmental system here in Anderson, Alabama, they will continue to put up 25-story hotel rooms on the front page of the Nova Street. They will continue to have police rampage our neighborhood. They will take down traffic lights to put up stop signs so they can give you traffic tickets. They will give you jobs that's unsuitable for you or your grandchildren, and you won't get a job working anything in banks or any institutions, in the courthouses or any places of recognition, unless we get involved in our city, get our children involved in our city, look out for our schools, which we have been neglecting over a period of the last 15 years. I know for sure that three administrations have neglected our school system, has neglected our neighborhoods, and throw down everything on the west side of Anderson. They don't want us on the east side of Anderson. They want to push us in Chocolate Creek, but we don't have to have it that way, simply because this is God's country, not the white man's country. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, caller. If we don't tell the story, if we don't tell that the Lord has brought us as a black race from a mighty long ways and give him the praise. Let me tell you, I got up last Sunday. On my mind, the Lord said, time for you to go get your son. Lord knows that I'm telling you the truth. I go to church. The pastor topic was, it's time to go get your son. And I'm here to tell you, it's time to go get your son, to get your daughter. It is time to stand up for what's right. It is time to do what's right. The cheap denims of the world is soon will be gone and forgotten if we do what's right. They have been using us for ATM machines entirely too long. And I'm here to tell Kent Davis, who the city manager, and I'm intending to tell Sims, who the judge at the city court, and that Jason Oden, who the prosecutor. It is time for you to just turn from your wicked ways. We are not going to continue to let y'all rob our people and sit back and do nothing. I always had this sign coming up. Lord, here I am, send me. If you ain't got nobody else to go and fight your battle, here I am, Lord, send me. When a person is willing to lay down his life for his brothers and his sister, there's no greater love than that. And I'm here to tell you this morning, anyone from the sound of my voice, I am willing to do that. When I look back and I have beautiful grandkids, and I think about how I had to march to make sure they would be treated fairly, I stopped and I said, thank you, Lord. Thank you for being there with us in the time of need. Thank you, Lord, for allowing me to be a part of it. But the work is not done and the job is not finished. We still have a ways to go. We need our strong black women, our strong black men to take a stand. Don't let nobody fool you. We wouldn't have got this far in the civil rights era if it wasn't for strong black women. Strong black women have played a major role in the state of Alabama on making a change. At a young age, there was young girls that went to Sunday school and were bombed at 17th Street Church, 16. There was young girls and young boys that they put holes and sick dogs on them in Birmingham, Alabama. But our young people, let's not get complacent. There's still work here for you to do also. Because one day you're going to have kids. And you want to make sure that they are being treated fairly. We want a world that you should not be judged by the color of your skin. We want a state of Alabama that you don't be judged by the color of your skin. That when you get out of a wreck and pull out your billfold, you get shot because the officer came there with a mindset that you are a criminal instead of a protect and serve. We got a long ways to go. But I'm here to tell you, Dr. King said he went to the mountain and he looked over and he have seen the promised land. And I'm here to tell you, if he said we will get there, we can't get there hitchhiking. He also said if you don't have a car, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But if any means get there, any means necessary, let's get there. And as the people, we can get there together. The blacks, the white, the Hispanics, the brown. We are in this together. We cannot divide, let them divide us, and then they will conquer us. Together we stand. Kent Davis, the city manager of this city, get your act together and do what's right for all people in this city. Once again, this is Glen Ray that brought the news that you can use at Jeffrey Allison Funeral Home service. Thank you, Jeffrey, for allowing me to be able to share this information. And I hope that I have touched somebody's heart to say when I get off, Glenn, you can count on me. Thank you.